What's up, everybody? This is Team B here, Bill Mack here, along with.
Will it be back again? What it is?
And we are together today. As you see, we're on location and finally got together. Our schedules were in actual parallel of each other, so we are actually together, hanging out here, trying to do a strictly.
That's some Terminator Genesis shit right there, boy.
How often does that happen, ladies and gentlemen? Did you actually see us together on the same screen at the same time, huh? Very scary. But
it's like when Raw broadcast Nitro the same night. USA Network and TNT.
Yeah, feel just like
simulcast. Yeah,
feel just like TNT or simulcasting with USA Network. So it's a good thing, though. But as usual, we're here to bring you a good topic, wrestling.
Hopefully a good topic.
Yeah, I think so. We've had some real breaking news the last couple of days or so, with what's going on. You want to share with them, Bullet, what we have heard today?
Well, about a decade ago, Hogan had a sex tape with so-and-so's wife. I forget his name exactly, but basically the sex tape came out, and there was some audio on there of Hogan making some racist comments, talking about he didn't want his daughter Brooke with the N person, the N word. And he said if she's going to date an Nigger, why can't he be 8 foot tall and be a basketball player, have money, stuff like that? I don't want my daughter with no Nigger. That's basically what Hogan said. So anyway, this leaked on the internet. WWE caught wind of it. All the news outlets caught wind of it, and basically they fired his ass for that, because it's PC America. It gives WWE a bad image to have a strict, racist in there. Because everybody, I don't know if everybody, but the WWE is racist themselves. Vince McMahon has said the N word several times, but he's the owner. But this was before they went PC. To be fair to Vince, because he was like, well, it's before, it was attitude era, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it just embarrasses the WWE, so they had to let him go, because, it's freedom of speech, but you also have to show respect to your company and so on and so forth.
Right.
It's just embarrassing. So what's your thoughts about it?
Well, I think for the whole fact is that they've really handled this quickly. WWE is... Usually they've been known in the past for, kind of switching things back and forth, making some excuses. As you and I have talked, about this topic some during the day, it just seems like have completely wiped him out. I mean, you go to the WWE's website, he's no longer on there. You look at poor Curtis Axel, he didn't even have a gimmick, but the Hogan gimmick.
He's had the worst luck.
They said he showed up into a house show. I don't know if it was the day or last night, and he didn't even have the Hogan gear on. He'd shaved his face, come out here with black clothes on, like he's
a mafia now.
Like he's an unofficial member of the Shield or something. But he just, it's just a sad thing to see what happened. But which you can't do that. In today's society, as we've seen and as you have talked about. And I've talked about as well. And you've seen such racial issues lately as dealing with, there you go. Oh, you got him? His glasses are amazing, folks. You may see him fly from time to time. Yeah. But, as you can tell, things racist have been here lately, with such as like the guy that killed the people in South Carolina, the whole taking of the Confederate flag down, the removal of the Dukes of Hazzard, which was one of my all-time favorite shows growing up, taking it off the air, merchandising and everything, and removing, Confederate memorials and all this stuff. But, it all deals with racism, and there's just no place in society when society, is trying to take care of it. So WWE said, we're not going to have it. We're not going to have Hogan on it. We're going to delete any kind of remnants whatsoever. Mind you, Hogan has been since the late 70s in wrestling. He's been a part of wrestling almost 4 decades of that. So they deleted his stuff off. You go over to TNA, which is sad enough because we all know how TNA is. And they're as wimpy as their company is, they've taken Hogan and everything mentioned of him off. So Hogan's out of it now. So Hogan has really got no place in WWE. And like you were talking about earlier, Bullets, you were talking about how you thought he would just jump over to TNA, but TNA's pulled the life raft from under him too. He don't have a place to swim.
That's bad. That's low when that happens. You got no street cred no more. TNA won't even take you back. Total nonstop assholes over there. They won't take him back. Damn.
But they sure did, bud.
They pulled a Chris Benoit on him. They pretty much erased him and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in a few years they won't speak of Hogan, but they'll have him back in the highlight, like WrestleMania highlights and stuff, with him slamming Andre. I think because they're going to have to, because it's going to be hard to block him out of everything. Because you can still show kind of like the highlights, but not really mention them. You still see Chris Benoit on WWE Network if you watch WrestleMania 20. Of course, he's not on the thumbnail or anything, but he still has his match there and stuff like that. I think they'll just leave it like that.
Yeah.
And, going to take his documentaries off the network and stuff like that. I got his book and everything, which was hilarious because I always knew Hogan was a scumbag because I'm a Randy Savage type of guy. And I always believed what Randy Savage and Warrior said mostly about him. And a lot of people have come out and talked about Hogan in a negative way. So, it all adds up. So, and you can tell he's a shapeshifter. He's playing the crowd. And the older he gets, the more he exposes himself. And basically, that's just what happened. And now it's gone too far with it. And now his career is messed up because, he's a human being and he's going through, with issues with Linda, having to pay her and stuff like that. And WWE Legends contract was all they had left. And, hey, he shouldn't have made stupid comments like that. But see, I work with African-American workers and I feel like I'm going to get beat up sometimes because we had the Charleston, South Carolina situation just happened recently. And then Hogan's on there, doing that. And then we had the Klan and white meal. And then I come into work. I'm like, hey, I'm a liberal. Don't mind me, man. I'm for minority groups and stuff. I'm a minority person. We're the minority group, really. But, yeah, there's racism all over the world. There really is. But it just so happens they caught him on camera, But I try to use education and not speak in low manners like that. Everybody's the person. We're all the same. Right. I always take the moral high ground. So you won't hear no racist comments from Team B.
No, not at all.
But Hogan, I think they perhaps should have just suspended him for a year or something like that. But, he pretty much just shut the door on his ass. Yeah. Now, Hogan says, we'll say, what a power of Hulkamania. And my apology tour, brother. Nothing can stop us, brother. Because he's going to go on the apology tour.
Yeah, he's going to have to. I mean, his poor daughter got on there. You should have heard him on Wrestling Soup. Shout out to Mish and Joey Numbers. They were talking about
Wrestling Soup, motherfucker, yes.
And they were talking about this morning, Brooke had wrote this poem about getting to know her dad. And if they knew her dad, really who he was. And they were just laughing at it because it's just a joke.
But we know who her dad is. He's many layers of a person.
Yeah.
Just like when he went to that UFC event that was in some city somewhere. He was like, yeah, brother, in the early 90s, I thought about training for UFC. I was going to come over here to UFC. Now, that's just bullshit. He was just rubbing the crowd, pandering to the crowd is what he was doing.
Right.
So, he was sleeping with that woman. Probably didn't know he was being recorded. I don't know if he was aware of that or not, but, he's in there with a white woman, somebody else's wife, by the way, and he's in there telling black jokes and degrading black people and shit like that. That's who he is. That's who he is. Mm-hmm. The phone conversations that came out when he's talking to his son, Nick, from jail, when Nick had that car accident, and they were talking about his Hispanic friend that was left in a vegetative state. Hogan's like, well, don't worry about it, brother. Why does he pay his family off? We ain't got to worry about that, brother. Let me get a cheeseburger, brother. And then that leaked, and he got some heat for that. So Hogan is just a shady person. He thinks he's playing everybody. He just looks at the world as a business. And in my opinion, when he left Dixie Carter, he didn't have. She was trying to say goodbye to him and stuff like that. He ain't say not a word to her from what I've read. Right. Once the contract ended, she was like, "Oh, hey, well, see you later." He just kept on walking. He's just all about business.
He'll go wherever they'll pop him over. They'll go. He'll go where they'll have him at. It's kind of like a dog when he's hungry. If he goes to one house and they'll feed him, And then he'll go and they'll say, well, we don't want to feed you no more. You're eating too much. He'll go over to somebody else's house and they'll feed him a little bit and he'll just mosey on. But see, the thing with Hogan, you understand, is I think the WWE is going to end up saying, well, we kind of jumped too quick at it, you know, with what we did. You know, they should have said, well, it's like you said, if they'd have fined him, which most people would have said they'd have made a public apology. But see, they went ahead and knee-jerked, and they've already kicked him out. I mean, it's like you said, they kicked him out the house and took the key back from him. He can't even get back into. They locked the windows. They got security lights, everything up. Hogan ain't allowed in there. And Hogan thinks he's going to go to the doghouse, which is TNA, total nonstop action. And they've even shut the door on him as well. So Hogan has no leg to stand on. And like you said, though, but what you were talking about was the situation was they said that he was known. He had known that these people were videotaping him and the wife and his wife, his friend's wife. That was Bubba Love Sponge.
Yeah, Bubba Love.
Yeah, and that was his wife. And they said that Hogan knew that it was being filmed because they had this camera that was positioned in the room right where it was at. You know, so they said Hogan knew it was being filmed, but that's just kind of weird.
He probably did because he probably wanted to have that sex tape as like backup for like shock value, sell it on eBay or something eventually if his career continued to tank like it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he was more considerate to Dixie Carter when he left TNA, maybe she would have brought him back or worked out something with him. But that's what happens when you're shady to people. They ain't going to help you out when you need a favor.
Yeah, it's that domino effect. When it happens at one company, something like that, it happens at everything after that. And you see WWE was the first to act to it. Then you see TNA now acting up to it. Now you'll probably see if any sponsors that Hogan has, which I don't know if he does or not, you know, except we used to have Flintstone vitamins, which I don't know if he just...
He was dancing on a pole with like Miley Cyrus on an internet commercial for a website.
He doesn't know.
How low can you go?
He don't know.
That's what TNA said. How low can you go? How low can you go?
He don't realize that he's an old man now. He's dating women and married women that look just like his daughter. Didn't they say one time, I think he even said he grabbed, what was he, talked about his daughter's legs? Talked about her butt or something like that. Now, that's Hogan's daughter. But he's talking about his daughter's legs and her butt.
Yeah, he give her compliments like that because she's, you know, a model or whatever. He's like, yeah, your legs are looking pretty good today, sweetheart. And all kinds of weird shit. But like I said, I was a Randy Savage Ultimate Warrior guy. So when Warrior did that shoot interview a few years back, you guys can find it on YouTube. Type in Ultimate Warrior rants on Hulk Hogan. He pretty much exposes Hogan right then and there. But now the world knows about it, you know, about all his little secret ways and insecurities and how fucked up he is. But Warrior was saying this shit years ago. Well, because he talked about that Bubba Sponge sex video and all that stuff, how sick he was for dating women as young as his daughter. But the reason he still is the character Hulk Hogan is because he's just trying to make a couple of bucks. The man's got a lot of financial problems, so he can't really give up the gimmick, and he probably would want to. In his book, he said there were several times when he really wanted to retire, but he would need money and need to come back. Yeah. So the only thing he can do now is just do a apology tour with his brand, with his name, because he did a tour before, and him and what's his name that used to have the big mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Right. Him and Jimmy Hart did some kind of tour years ago where they were just going around like, hey, see Hulk Hogan live, and he wrestled a couple of local guys or something. I think he will go back to that, probably in another country somewhere. Or podcast even. I mean, hey, a lot of these wrestlers go podcasting. Yeah, he would do good on a podcast, actually, because people want to hear his lies. I love reading his book. I recommend getting the audio version of it just to hear. Cause if you want to hear a bunch of lies and shit, the entertainment is funny, man. What was it, Linda? It was all Linda, not me. You know, just her and blah, blah, blah. And conversations about Nick, they just caught me off guard that day. And I'm like, well, you're basically telling on yourself by saying it, making a comment like that. Yeah. Turn to page 3, brother. Yeah, just ignore page 4. Yeah. It was, I mean, it's sad to see Hogan, who is in his 60s, who still does that leg drop, which is hurt my hip, brother. You know, he can't do too much of that. 9 back surgeries that leg drop cost him. And so that tells us right there that if anybody was hurt more with Hogan's leg drop, out of all his opponents over the 30 years,
It's actually Hogan.
It didn't hurt nobody but himself.
Nobody but his
I always thought Yokozuna had the best leg drop in the business. Of course, Yokozuna wasn't around that long, but a 500-pound Samoan / Japanese man dropping a drumstick on you, it looks like it would hurt.
Yeah.
Whereas Hogan, he'd do it land right on his ass bone when he does it.
Yeah, that's why he gets in the ring and falls like a piece
But that's
of
why he added
cardboard.
that's why he added the leg to it. Because it wasn't believable. Because I used to think, well, how can a leg drop defeat somebody?
Mm.
And then he would put the boot with it. Like, okay, shot to the head, then leg drop. Okay, that makes sense. Because you could have knocked him out with a big boot. But Hogan was talking about in the interview that he wished he never did the leg drop, and he just would do the big boot. I'm like, that'd be stupid as hell. But he had to do like an attitude adjustment move or some kind of other finish or a sleeper. But no, that put the crowd to sleep. You got to do something exciting.
Right.
So, I don't see Hogan just doing a big boot.
What's more exciting than a big boot and a leg drop to the head?
Here's the big boot on Flair in WCW in the 50th rematch. Oh, here we go.
Here, look at Hogan's hang time. He's hanging up and down that leg drop. Did you ever see anybody have a longer air time in the air with a leg drop than Hogan? Have you ever seen anybody take that much time in midair while doing a leg drop? I mean, when Hogan done it, it's like you could have went and fixed you something to eat and come back and sit down and eat it. He's still in the middle of that leg drop.
Yeah, Hogan was a professional. Sure, he had like 3 to 5 moves, but he was professional. Scott Hall said this, and DDP said this. They said that his punches were really good. His leg drops were smooth. He knew how to work the crowd. That's one thing. He knows how to work, or he used to know how to work the crowd. He can work the crowd and hit the leg drop right. What he does, he was the master of it, even though it was kind of limited. But you never see it when you were watching him as a kid. You just like, there was a super move. He did a hawking up. And I believed in that shit, man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was the Cena before there was Cena.
Exactly, yeah.
That's plain and simple. He's got 5, 6 moves at the most. Neither one of them really hurts. But he's going to end up hulking up as Cena's up when he gets up there and he can kick out of anything. Cena size, what he does. He gets up there.
Oh yeah, Cena kicks out everybody's finisher.
Yeah, Cena can leg squat at a Buick if he had to. I mean, that's just what his leg. He says, "Oh, now you wonder why I can kick out." No, because you get beat like everybody else. But Cena is the new version of Hogan, and that's why Hogan and him associate. That's why you see Hogan kissing his butt. If you noticed in the past shows, oh, Cena's the real deal. I'm pulling for my man Cena. I'm going to pull for him, brother. It's because it's the young version.
Yeah, it makes sense babyface wise. Top babyface in the 80s, giving props to the current babyface.
Yeah.
Makes sense in that way. But they're pretty much the same way. They're both shady businessmen. I think Cena's a lot more intelligent than Hogan. Because Cena, when he gets on CNN or whatever, news broadcast and have to interview him, he'll give a straight up interview without revealing anything. He's pretty good with stuff like that. Now his promos and stuff always need work, but when he's questioned by authority or news reporters, he knows how to be very PC. I'll give him that. Hogan, he's just sitting there and just telling on himself like, well, me and Randy, we made up like a couple of days before he died. Actually, he's like, weren't you and Randy enemies? Oh, we made up a couple of days before he died. Shoot, because I always believe Randy's story over that. Even Warrior touched on that. He said, you guys never made up, man. You made that story up, man, just to make yourself look good. Just to make like you made, ends meet with Macho before you went out of here. Stuff like that.
Hogan always tried to make himself, and just saying here, don't it kind of seem like to you that Cena's life kind of parallels Hogan's, like with the making the movies? Because you remember, Hogan made movies, granted not of like Cena, but he done some movies. He done that, Thunder in Paradise?
Cena makes the B plus. Well, I don't want to call it B plus movies, but it makes the D or the E. He makes the E movies like Hogan did. Well, Hogan's movies were better though. I like Suburban Commando and Mr. Nanny. I didn't know no better. But
Ninjas.
I didn't like that one. But that's when I got wise. But Suburban Commando, I love that shit when it first came out. I watch it now because they had Christopher Lloyd in it.
Undertaker's in that movie.
Exactly.
Marty.
What
more can you get than that?
Marty.
But you think about it now. So here's the question. Now that you see that Hogan and Cena's lives are kind of parallel, you remember back at Bash at the Beach, back when Hogan was in WCW, and that big heel turn there with the Macho Man and Luger was supposed to go against Hall and Nash.
Yeah.
And
the infamous heel turn.
He made a heel turn that changed his character forever, because that character, as you said, when he was in WWE, started getting stale. And then they tried to refresh it when he went to WCW and changed his shirt design a little bit. But it was still stale. But when they changed that Hollywood gimmick, that revitalized Hogan. Yeah, so do you think if Cena gets stale enough, because among most of the people that are not kids and females, it's kind of getting pretty, they give us the same gimmick like Hogan. He never changed it. It's the same gimmick that is used for 13 years, just like Hogan is. So do you think maybe sometime in the future they'll have a heel turn with Cena to kind of give him a fresh start?
I hope so, because that would be really, really awesome and interesting. It's just Vince is afraid to do it. Vince is just taking the safety route right now. That's all it is, because they don't have another star that has the drawing power as Cena. You got to have a draw in the company. It's a business. More importantly, from Vince's point of view, it's just a business. We got to have stars to attract people. You turn Cena heel, people will hate him. And like JR said, it can have the opposite effect. You turn Cena heel, the fans might start cheering him.
Right.
It depends on the type of heel they make him into. If he goes into a city and starts trashing the city or the hometown or whatever, the people will have to boo him. Like when Hollywood, The Rock, when he was the Hollywood gimmick, people wanted to cheer him, but he figured out ways to make people boo him. Mm-hmm. Leaving Sacramento, I won't stay. I'll be coming back when the Lakers beat the Kings of May. You fat ass women need to sit down. I can see Cena doing almost something like that, maybe.
Well, to me, it's
go to his hometown in Boston and be like, you know what, Boston, you guys suck.
Yeah, but they still boo Cena even in his own hometown. Same thing, they boo him in his own hometown. I mean, who hears that? Even Orton last Raw? They were in Missouri, and they were at the pay-per-view. They were in Missouri. That's why he had that match, when he was doing it. And so that's what he basically done, was he had a good match. But Cena, dude, that's the thing with Cena, is that Cena doesn't it's hard for him to make a heel turn because of what he's basically he's going through. His merchandise is pushed among kids. Nobody else's is. They've not built a viable baby face to take over his reign, or at least be some kind of level with him.
CM Punk was the closest. CM Punk was the closest, and then he left because they didn't treat him right, according to him. And I believe him on that mostly. Because he didn't like the creative direction. I didn't like it because I was like, what are they doing with CM Punk? They had him in a tag team with Daniel Bryan there for a short while. I said, well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Then after that, he feuded with Paul Heyman for a few months. Then he had that good match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. And that was about it. And then it was supposed to be CM Punk and Triple H at WrestleMania 30. And he just weren't too happy with that. Because the year before, he had that awesome match with The Undertaker. And he lost that match. And I don't know what it is. I mean, he should have been, I think CM Punk should have been more thankful and show more appreciation and let guys shine for a couple of years, because eventually they'll go back to him. But at the same time, the Z-Pack thing and all that stuff, and him not being properly looked after, I can understand that. But why didn't he go to his own doctor? But the one day AJ Lee goes to, I'm just saying, I like CM Punk. I'm not hating on him, but,
right.
But I believe most of what he says when he rants on WWE.
Yeah,
I feel like if he would have texted Triple H back, he would have got his job back. Because what it was, because remember Triple H was texting him, talking about coming back and having a story for him, and CM Punk never answered him, and then like a month later when he got married, they let him go. But I feel like if he would have texted Triple H back, he would have went back.
Yeah, that was the thing. Cena, as CM Punk, was indeed, when I came back to wrestling, he was kind of my pick who I liked. I liked his character, who he evolved into. But it's like you said, he was like, I feel like I should be headlining this. All due respect to you, Triple H, I don't want to fight you. He was going on about that because he wanted that spot, and he just felt like it was, he wasn't getting it, and he deserved it. And he could, he was hot that year, according to him. And so he just went ahead and left.
Yeah.
But, getting back not far off from the Hogan stuff, it's sad to see Hogan's life, but maybe in a few years they'll do it. Maybe they'll do some podcasts. But as of right now, it does not look good for him. All that merchandising, because Vince has got the merchandising down, and Vince
I don't know because Hogan does have his own beach shop where he sells a lot of Hogan gear. I think he owns the rights to his name or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as far as I know, because he had Hogan's beach shop and he sold Hogan merchandise in TNA and other places. But maybe he'll end up in Lucha Underground and be Mr. America again, or Mr. Racist. But yeah, because he'd be running his beach shop, and you never know, some local might walk in there and say, "Hey, you fucking racist," He might start. Yeah, he's gonna start getting comments like that because it's already ruined his reputation.
Right.
He's gonna start hearing that shit on the streets. Hey, you fucking racist. And then after a couple of years, it cool down, and people be like, "Hey, it's Hogan, how you doing?" But Dusty Rhodes passed away, Macho Man passed away, Warrior, all the good ones are passing away.
Right.
And every time a good, superstar wrestler passes away, I'm like, why the fuck wasn't it Hogan? He's the shady one. Well, you got to take away Dusty. Well, that was sad when Randy passed away. That's my favorite of all time. Right. I'm like, it should have been it should have been Hogan. Now Hogan's going to run down Macho Man and get away with it.
Well, that's Hogan's thing.
And then Hogan inducted Macho Man, deceased Macho Man, in the Hall of Fame last year. Now you're not going to see that no more. So thanks a lot, Hogan.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Now you can't see the Randy Savage Hall of Fame because of your ass. Because your plastic ass, your plastic. I remember on TNA wrestling the main event. You and Flair was the main event, and you was in the corner, and you had to pop your hip back in the right place. What you is, Hogan? You was an old porn star. Talking about, well, I don't look that old. Just give me a couple more scenes.
What made it
trying to cash on that ass? That's all that is, and it's sad. But I'll get a different job. But he needs the millions of dollars, I guess, to pay Linda. So,
that's the sad thing about it, too, is the fact that you think about it. Hogan sat there, and this is what they said in court, and I don't know if you heard this, but they were talking about in court. Usually in court, you have these strict rules that you can't wear this, you can't carry that, you can't take this into the courtroom. Can you believe, because like a lot of times people, judges don't want you wearing hats or any kind of, garments, anything like that to cover up your head or whatever. Did you know Hogan actually petitioned so that he could wear his bandana while he was in court?
Well,
because he didn't want to show his bald head. He ain't got but a few bits of hair back there with them blonde hair extensions. Yeah, he doesn't have he actually petitioned the judge to allow him to wear his bandana in court. Now tell me how bad that is.
And when Brock Lesnar jokingly called him Grandpa on his birthday, he got pissed backstage. He got pissed about that. And then Vince McMahon throws it back in his face with Curtis Axel and Damien Sandow with the Mega Powers gimmick. So he just threw it back in Hogan's face. And I could just see Hogan watching Raw and just turning red. That ain't cool, brother. I ain't old, brother. I'm just 61, brother.
His gimmick's gone. I mean, they just got him back last year after being gone the 6 years over to TNA, the Shadow Company. And so
that's a compliment.
He was over there, he was over there for 6 years with them. He comes back, they make him the host of WrestleMania 30. And he ain't too happy about that being in there with Stone Cold and The Rock. He ain't too happy about it. Because Hogan wants to be that center of attention. Everybody knows that he does. And now they got him in Tough Enough. They're trying to make him do something. And now they got to get another host from Tough Enough because Hogan ain't going to be there.
That's exactly right.
But as we turn our attention, away from Hogan and all his ordeals, we were listening to it earlier, though. Listen to shout out again to Wrestling Soup. What are you thinking of the? What are you thinking of the situation with how they're going to handle the Brock Lesnar and Undertaker situation? Because that whole Vince bringing them back for ratings is temporary, but the Undertaker, they're talking like he's supposed to wrestle a few days after SummerSlam and leading up until WrestleMania next year. So, what do you think? I have my opinion on what I think. What do you think, from your opinion, that they're going to try to do with that whole Hogan and that whole Undertaker and Brock situation?
Taker's just doing a favor for Vince. That's all that is. That's just my opinion. That's just my hunch. Vince has probably called up Taker and said, "Hey man, the ratings are tanking. We need your help." So Mark Calloway probably told Vince, like, hey, man, you know, I'll come up there and work some Raws and pay-per-views if you really need me to help the ratings, because he's a draw. He's a superstar.
Well, who do you think should get the second match, the Undertaker seeking revenge? Do you think they should give it to Brock, or do you think they should give Undertaker on why?
I don't know. I've heard so many different opinions about it. I don't know what to think anymore. Originally, I said, no, you know, Brock is not losing this match. They did a year and a half building him up. He needs to put over a young superstar, and he needs to keep that going. He defeated the streak. I just feel like if Taker wins, Brock defeating Taker for the streak was pointless.
Right.
Like Terminator Genesis. You watch it, you feel like the first two movies were pointless. So I feel like the streak was pointless if Undertaker gets his win back, because the streak's never coming back. So just let it go. It's a tight spot. They just threw that together because it's a good SummerSlam poster. It has marquee value, etc.
Right.
And then they're like, well, we'll figure out what the finish will be later on. I don't know. It can't be a fuck finish, because we had fuck finishes the past few pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah.
So if Taker wins, yeah, he gets his win back, but he doesn't get the streak back.
Right.
But it makes Undertaker strong for next year's WrestleMania. But it also weakens Brock. So, I mean, you're fucked either way. It's going to weaken either one.
Yeah.
So, but what they could do is have Brock go over again, and then Undertaker say, well, I don't have it no more. I don't have it no more. Then you have a retirement match next year at WrestleMania. I mean, because they could book it that way. Be like, well, it's his retirement match or something.
Right.
Or Taker could win, then go, you know, have another run and be on at the pay-per-views every month. They can make him a big draw like they're trying to do with Brock. And be like, nobody can stop the Undertaker. It's Rocky. He's doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Undertaker come out with you know, they want to talk about racism. He come out there with the New Day faction. They call it the Ministry of Darkness. Yeah, and then have Titus O'Neil, Ahua Join that, and it'd be freaking awesome, man, because you can see New Day clapping right behind the dead man. Now, the way this is what I would do if I was WWE. The way out of it is to turn the Undertaker heel, turn him heel. That way, if he loses the Brock, they say, well, he was just a heel. You know, I would just turn Undertaker heel. That way, it's not really the same. It's not the good guy Taker, and he lost his way. He turned to the dark side, and that's why. Of course, if you dissect the promos, you know, Undertaker's kind of like being a crybaby because Brock pinned him clean in the middle of the ring, and here's Taker saying, "Well, I don't appreciate you guys, you know, bragging about it every week." And Paul Heyman's like, "Why wouldn't we brag about it every week?"
Right.
So they're going to have to fix that because it makes Taker look, unless they're turning Taker heel. I wish they would, because that would just make it more make it more interesting, give it more reason, like a bitter Undertaker, you know, coming back and stuff like that. And then when you bring him back at Mania, you can have him as a babyface. But you say you got some upcoming dates, so I don't know. We just have to wait and see. But that's the exciting part about this year's SummerSlam. We don't know what the fuck's going to happen. That's what makes it exciting when you want to tune in every week. That's how it used to be when it was exciting.
Well, and that's the thing, is the unpredictability that it's about. You know, that's what we grew up on, man. Every week, you know, whether it was WWE, WCW, whatever it was, you were looking forward to that next week and what's going on, you know. And to me, that was something that I always enjoyed, because I always wanted to come back and I always wanted, like, oh, gee, I wonder what's going to happen this week. But like you said, with these crappy finishes on these pay-per-views and the way they've done Seth Rollins, which I will get to in just a few minutes. But with the whole Brock thing, I'm torn like you in a sense, because there's ways that he can do it, you know. It's like you said, they could make Undertaker, put Undertaker over this one, because he said, well, let you put me over clean last time. You pinned me clean, and you did the take care of the streak. Now I, out of respect, want you, I'm going to put you over. I want you to put me over clean, and I'll put, you know, since I'll put you over clean. So he's apparently wanting to get his win back, and you see that's just because of wrestlers. And you and I had talked about this, you know, about whether that's right or wrong, but that's what he wants, you know, that he wants. He gave it, he said, I give you respect and let you pin me. Now I want to pin you. I want it to be clean, just like you did me. And like you said too, that kind of weakens Brock. You know, they're trying to push Brock to be this monster. You look at what he's done over the past few weeks, he dismantled the Authority by himself. Poor Jamie Noble got his ribs broke one day, arm broke the next.
He's so stiff, and then they're going to put him in there with 50-year-old Undertaker and put him in Suplex City. Undertaker's going to drop dead in the ring.
They better have the ambulance beside the ring when he goes out there, because if you watched Raw, it looked like Undertaker, when he went to put him in that tombstone, was going to drop him. And you remember a few years back when Undertaker was going to put Booker T in the last ride, and he leaned up against the ropes so he wouldn't drop him and did that. That's what I'm saying. He just
Brock's hard to pick up anyway. Yeah. Even Cena has a little muscle spasm when he picks up Brock. What the fuck? I mean, Undertaker, he's not as strong as Cena.
He's a solid 286. And Brock is a monster, and trying to pick him up, and Undertaker's shaking, and I'm like, please don't drop him on his head, Undertaker, because you didn't want to see him get tombstone like that. But, fortunately, he didn't drop him, and then he done it again. But then if Brock beats him, then it's like you said, he could potentially say, well, I'm losing it, I don't have it anymore, and then sometime before WrestleMania, get the strength, something tell him, you can do it, Undertaker, you can beat this man. Go out, and if you can't beat him, then you just need to retire and go in that instance. So it's easy, but I'm agreeing with you. I think that it's a good idea that they have basically made it unpredictable, even though it's not creative to be unpredictable when you don't know what your ending's going to be. So that to me is basically, a good thing to go. So I'm hoping that, it's going to be a good and creative. Don't drop the ball, because you have between now, which is July, going into August, all the way up until April, when WrestleMania happens. So they're going to use Brock and Undertaker. They need to use them wisely. Brock only will appear a certain amount of times. Undertaker's too old to be out wrestling 5 months in a row. But he does, after SummerSlam, have some dates that he's going to try to work. So maybe he's trying to go even give him one last short run with the title. I'd give him a title run before.
Yeah, because you gave it to Brock, and he was there every 3 months. So why not Taker? Taker be there once a month.
It's like that. It's like that meme he said. It had a picture of Daniel Bryan on top of Brock, and it said, "You take the title off of champ, and because he's going to be gone this long, and you give it to a guy that's going to be gone this long." Why even do that?
Well, that's because that was planned with the Brock turn. The Brock run, like, okay, we understand. We'll be back at Survivor Series. We got you. Daniel Bryan, it was just that. They just weren't. They caught him off guard, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, she thinks he's going to come back. I don't think he is. I think these injuries have really done a number on him. He just can't make it. We talked about that in our talk the other day. He ain't. He's not as strong as he used to be, and he's done so many bumps and stuff over the years before WWE. That man can only take so much. But
I like Daniel Bryan, but his character is not really my favorite. I mean, he's more like for the kids. That's just the way I look at him. And people want to cheer for Daniel Bryan, but when he carries the title, people just get disinterested. And I think he would turn into a John Cena. People get sick of seeing him. Which I see that in him. People just don't see that yet. But unfortunately, he might not even come back. But I like to see him come back. But I just look at him as more for the kids. Now, for his ring work, he's like a Chris Benoit or something. Right. He's really good in the ring.
But I understand that.
And I had a funny Undertaker joke earlier. I forgot what it was. Maybe it'll come back to me. Not the Marty. Not that one.
But
another strategy that could. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if their SummerSlam match eventually turns into like a no holds barred match or some kind of street fight. That way it can have smoke and mirrors in the match.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if it turned into a no holds barred. Undertaker could come on Raw next week and be like, Brock, our match, no holds barred.
I don't want it to be a triple threat match. They kill a championship match quicker than because remember, Sheamus has got that title. That Money in the Bank contract. They cashed in for that title at any time. But they don't even know what they're going to do with Sheamus.
Question. Who the hell is the IC champion? I was trying to figure that out today.
It was Ryback.
That's right. He got injured. Right?
He's had staph infection in his right knee that they're taking care of, but he'll be back soon.
He's still holding on to the title.
Yeah, they're going to let him keep it. I mean,
because they just had an elimination chamber to crown a new IC champion.
Yeah.
Because I was playing WWE 2K15, I went to title management to put the title on the correct superstars, because in the game, Brock still has the title. And so title management, you know, I put the U.S. title on Cena. And the IC title, I was like, who the fuck's got it? I forgot. I believe I put it on, it might have been Rob back then. No, I put it on Daniel Bryan.
Right.
Because that's as far back as I can remember. I was like, who the fuck's got it now? And I couldn't think of it, and that's why. And, you know, WWE World Heavyweight Championship, I put that on Seth. You know, and I was playing the universe mode was why. That way the titles and stuff make sense. You could change the cheering and the booing. Like, Seth's a babyface in the game because that's when the Shield was a babyface faction. Right there at the end of it. So I put him on boo. You know? and
see, that's a good lead-in because, man, Seth Rollins, you and I have been talking about Seth Rollins here. You know, I understand, and it's like you said, Daniel Bryan, and, you know, then reminds you kind of what Seth Rollins, you know, is with everything. Seth Rollins, to me, they while he's a good performer and a good talent, he has moves, he can wrestle. His presentation as champion really kind of doesn't show a strong structure there as being champion. You know what I'm saying? He's very small, and they built him to be a wimp. Now, being a heel, you can cheat. Being a heel, you can be somewhat chicken shit. But when you go in to be a heel, heels are supposed to be sneaky, cheat how to win. They were bringing him out there every single week with J&J Security, with Kane. Every single week, they was always helping to win. He was always running, you know, which you and I had talked about even leading up to the pay-per-view in Battleground. If they would just let him work out on Brock's legs, keeping Brock off, that's the only really chance he had even looking and putting on a decent match, you know, which I told you when I was watching the pay-per-view, and you and I did our post show. You know, you want to go back and look at that if you for a reference.
Right here on this channel.
Exactly, on this channel. Just go back and look at it. Our post shows are on our respective pages. You know, it's just they just totally went away, you know, with that. But he put on a better match with Rollins than he did with Reigns, which is that's what to tell you, because out of all three members of Shield, who's the one that's got the title? Who's the one they trusted to have it? It's Rollins, you know, but they've just made him so weak that, you know,
I thought he was going to be like the next CM Punk.
Right, and I wonder who his next opponent's going to be, you know, for the title. Yeah, that's just what news for.
Cena at SummerSlam, title for title is what I see. But after that, it'd probably be Cena for a couple of months. And after that, I don't know.
Well,
Cena might actually win the damn title back. They probably put it back on him.
Yeah, well.
I would not be surprised because it doesn't really matter because the main titles went back to the mid-card status now for the pay-per-view because Taker and Brock's going to be the main event. It's not going to be about the title. So they can get away with Seth Rollins having weaker opponents or same old opponents.
Yeah, but you dragged the title down. See, what Cena done was wrong. You know, and I told you, you and I were talking about that the other day. They make Cena go out and he berates the championship. He belittles the WWE World Heavyweight title, the biggest title in the company, the heavyweight title. And they go and he puts it down. And one rule they've always said that I've heard, you know, is you don't run down a champion like that. You never run down him and the title. And all he did was pure lift his legs up and piss all over Rollins with the title. He might as well have been a pigeon and dropped and flew over him and dropped pigeon shit all over him. Because that's all he did. The whole time he was in that ring, putting him down. I'm like, why are you even doing this? I mean, I know you're supposed to have the power and you're the man, the champ is there. It's just sad that that's the case, but that's just what they do. You know, they put him down, and it seemed like all of them where he's the future, he's the architect. Now, he's the leg stand for piss.
Yeah.
It just, to me,
I thought Rollins cut a good promo on Cena Monday night, other than Rollins doing a chicken shit heel move and running away from the ring. But he was like, nobody wants to see you as champion, Cena, and he put him down. Nobody cares about you, which I love. I think Seth can cut some really good villain promos. He's just mid-card status right now. The money in him is as a babyface. And don't get me wrong, I think he's a good heel, a good talker. That's why.
Right.
And but he's just mid-card because he's not selling out, live events and things like that.
Yeah, that's where they've done it. You and I've discussed.
That's why they keep bringing up the Frankenstein Taker back and people like that.
Yeah, and that whole heel. I mean, that's a short period of time to turn him heel, make him champion, then build right back up for Brock. Because whenever it ends here, if Undertaker beats Brock, then Heyman's gonna go out there and start talking to his junk about how Undertaker was lucky, and that's probably gonna set up the third match. But they're gonna do that. They're going to do that no matter what, because the Undertaker's going to have his retirement match next year.
I don't think it'll be against Brock though.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think they'll have a match at Mania again. No.
For a rubber match, if Undertaker wins one, then they'll say there's one apiece. They always got it. WWE loves their rubber matches.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be at Mania. I think it'll be at one of the future Undertaker dates. No, because Undertaker and Brock wouldn't draw. That's in a match for WrestleMania because that's just too much.
Well, who would draw? But do you know of anybody that could draw? Possibly, because that's a difficult thing.
Well, Undertaker can always have a feud with somebody like he did this year with Bray Wyatt, somebody like that. But if The Rock comes back, it's supposed to be Rock and Brock. They could have a match, or maybe it could be The Undertaker and The Rock.
I'd love to see Stone Cold
or Triple H and. Yeah, but that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I wish it would, but yeah. Stone Cold and Brock will sell it out, man. They'll get 100,000 then. They're not going to get 100,000 with Brock Taker number 3. That's just my opinion. I don't want to see it. It's like Cena and Brock last year when they had like back-to-back matches, and then at the Royal Rumble they threw Seth Rollins in there to make it a triple threat because nobody wanted to see that match again.
Well, this is like
they didn't. That's why they threw them in there.
Well, it's like you said, dude. It'll be somebody probably new. I doubt it being. I hope it's not Cena. Nobody wants to see Cena put the Undertaker in retirement. I don't.
No,
I don't want to see Cena do that.
That would have been a good match if the Streak was still around. They took the Streak away.
Yeah,
because you don't have the Streak there anymore. Cena versus Taker. That would have been a good match if the Streak was still there because. Fans would be like, "Oh no, we can't have Cena end in the streak." Mm-hmm. I had that scare factor to it.
Yeah,
of course, and Taker would have kept the streak because there's no point in giving it to Cena. He's already over.
That's true. Yeah, they're gonna give it to Neville. What's, ladies and gentlemen?
That's right, Neville, the troll. He's gonna come out there and he's gonna beat the one that beat the one. Just give it to Neville. That's all you got to do.
What's his name? The nickname. The man
that gravity, the man that crowd reactions forgot, or the man that created forgot because I don't know what he's supposed to be. They should have put a mask on him. Mm-hmm. He should have been like a Rey Mysterio type because he's just not clicking with the audience. There's no reaction. It's the man that the crowd reactions forgot. Seriously, no reaction when he comes out. But he's got some cool moves and whatnot, so they should have made him like a luchador. They should have put the mask on him.
Yeah.
He's got them pointy ears and all that. Yeah. I mean, what's he supposed to be? He reminded me of a Super Nintendo RPG side-scrolling character. That's what he reminded me of, the real built characters that move side to side in a side-scrolling game. That's what he looks like.
What made me think of, dude, was like him flipping in the air and that wind catching underneath his ears and slowing down or flying away while trying to do one of his what's that thing called, the arrow that movie does, the that spin thing. I think it's the arrow or something like that. But he does
call it the 450 splash.
Or it could be it. That could be it.
That could be like the wrestling terminology.
But is the wind catch under his ears and kind of slow him back? Just pin him back before he goes out to wrestle. Put some goggles on him when he does it. Keep him pinned in. That way the wind will be a little bit more wind resistant. But
what is he supposed to be? Is he from the Lord of the Rings? Or?
Well, they've had some bad shots.
Is he the man that forgot his mask? Or what? The man that forgot his mask, Neville. Top that, DT. The man that forgot his mask.
The man that forgot aerodynamics. Well, as we get to maybe one of our last two topics here is one I just hadn't popped in my head, but it was one that really got me thinking. What to me is dealing with Kevin Owens. This is a topic that really I thought about. You and I have talked about from time to time over the past week or so since we saw it. Kevin Owens has put on a hell of a performance since he's joined WWE and come up to the main roster. He has cuts awesome promos. He's put on awesome matches, and he's put on, and he's pushed Cena in his matches to even heights that Cena couldn't imagine anyone else doing. I am for Owens, which I know Kevin Castle and Don Tony don't necessarily think that
DT loves Owens, and Kevin Castle's very skeptical.
Very much.
It takes it's going to take him a while to get be more open minded about him, because KC's very old school. It just takes it a while for somebody to really catch on with him. He wants to see if he's there a year from now. And stuff.
Well, he doesn't think that.
Because the wrestling suit touched on that. It's like, wow, KC was very hard on Kevin Owens, but we understand why. But
I think that they dropped him. WWE has a bad problem with taking these young people. You look at Adam Rose and not capitalizing on it.
On the ESPN documentary.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't their creation.
It was awesome that he did, but it seems like when I was reading it that people like Kevin Dunn is in Vince's ear, because Kevin Dunn don't want Triple H and his ideas to come to fruition. And I was reading that, and they're saying there's people that are for Owens getting the push, and there's people against it. And the people like Kevin Dunn.
I read that the reason Cena didn't put Kevin Owens over was because Vince said, I don't trust Kevin Owens enough yet. He's just a quote indie guy enough yet to have him defeat Cena. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that. I mean, that's just Vince not taking a chance, because he could have took the chance. Cena would have been all right. And then they completely ignored on Raw Monday night, because Owens didn't cut a promo on Cena. He should have been like, hey, you just got lucky, but you ain't worth my time anymore.
Right.
A good heel promo like that, and just walked off. But they just ignored it. And then now he's in a feud with Cesaro, which was not too bad. They're going to have some awesome matches.
Right.
Him and Cesaro is going to tear it up. So I think Kevin Owens is safe for now, because they know that us, the fans, were kind of worried about what they're going to do with Kevin Owens. And they're like, they put him in a safety spot with Cesaro. That's going to help them both out, because I think Owens is going to help Cesaro's mic work. And he's going to cut them and pipe bombs on Cesaro. And Cesaro's going to be like, he's going to step up some.
Well, I agree. They've knocked him down to mid-card status, and that's a sad thing to see, because I was kind of waiting to see what, but even like you said, Cesaro should be pushed. He's in a good height. Cena tried to push him, and Owens tried to push him. So, I mean, their guys are getting pushed, but they're stopping. Does this kind of remind you of a particular scenario before where there were young guys trying to break through and someone was stopping them from doing it? Except for back 2000, 99, 2000, 2001, that WCW kind of way is the scenario showing up. Looks like it's rearing its head up now. Vince may need to be careful, because he's lost Hogan. And like you said, he's lost a lot of the old guys that have fought over the years. He's got to push these guys. Cena can't stand on the mountaintop and hold everybody else up forever. He's got to let guys like Owens push through.
They're lucky Cena hasn't had a 6-month injury.
Yeah, and Cesaro hasn't been hurt at all, yet they still don't hardly ever push Cesaro. And Owens has cut dynamite promos on him. It's just no wonder that they've not even tried to attempt at all to try to push Owens more. But see, Owens had to get into another high profile, which all of them are taking. The slots are taking right now. But maybe this will do some positive for both Cesaro, like you said, Cesaro and Owens. So, but that's basically what my opinion is. You got anything else to add to it?
No, I agree with you.
All right, well.
I think you very well said.
All right. Well, everybody, it's coming to a close here on Team B here. We had some discuss. Glad everybody could join us. Glad Bullet B could join us here tonight. And show up one day at his residence and be on.
Hey, thanks for the invite, man.
Anytime, man. We Team B. We always here. So we hope the fans enjoyed it. Go to our pages, subscribe, like us, tell your friends about us, hashtag us, must see, gotta watch. And
that's right.
On Twitter, we're everywhere. So that's
Team B.
So all right, everybody. Well, everybody take care. Have a good night. And for Team B, this is Bill Mack.
This is Bullet B. Y'all take care.
And have a good night.